It was an exciting life. Midnight ready alert launches, hunting Soviet subs in the North Atlantic, rigging Soviet warships, getting intercepted by Soviet Bear and Badger aircraft, flying all over the world and having a ball. There was a saying back in the VP squadrons back there. VP, money for nothing, the chicks for free. Where's Lothar? Hey, there are unconfirmed rumors of occasional drunken debauchery, and I've heard stories of several epic parties, even which have taken place that I'm not really at liberty to talk about. They swore me not to. But more on that later in the back. I'll talk more about that later in the back. It was said that back in those days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, somewhere in the world, there was a P-3 Orion on top of a submarine, ready to engage. Back then, as much as we flew, I believe it. It was during this incredible tour where Dave met and forged long friendships with some of our honored guests here today, both our Eckert, Jack O'Brien, and Kevin Shanahan. In Dave's own words, these guys have always been more like my brothers and their friends. Now, it's not widely known, but Lothar and I, way before Dave knew him, you see, Lothar and I were classmates back in the VP days. And Lothar, don't worry, I won't bring up the stories about St. Augustine's, Daytona, stealing Phil Shermer's IROC Z, or anything like that.
It's not that you guys know about it.
Exactly. Dave would probably tell you himself how much it means to him that you traveled here with your families to share this day. But he figured he'd probably start crying like a sissy baby that he is, so I'm stuck with doing all the heavy lifting, so I won't cry for any of you if you feel bad about that, so I'm sorry, I just won't do it. They received orders to anti-submarine war. After that, they received orders to anti-submarine war for Operations Center, Rosie Roads, to the Aswak. It was in 1989. We pretty much kicked the Soviet Union's butt in the Cold War. But as good military men knows, there's always a new battle to fight, and the new one was the war on drugs. Narcotics were being smuggled on a massive scale through the Caribbean from the South to Central America, and the U.S. had finally decided to get serious about stopping the flow. Naval Station Rosie Roads was a perfect position as a forward base for this effort. P-3 Orion aircraft were well suited for this new mission. Their impressive flight endurance, high-tech search communication abilities, and their fine air crew. They made huge contributions to the counter-narcotic mission, working closely with Coast Guard cutters and Navy ships. Dave worked primarily as the OPCOM watch officer during this time, conducting pre-mission briefs, post-mission debriefs on all the air crew and all the missions. Dave was a first-class petty officer at this time, filling the lieutenant position. He would also, during this time, be selected as the Sailor of the Year for Rosie Roads. It was great work, and Dave enjoyed it and excelled at it. But he'd be the first to tell you that he missed the exciting flying time, back to being a small-knit team, flying with the air crew. He also enjoyed the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, an incredible year-round summer, taking full advantage of the Virgin Islands, world-class scuba diving, sailing, ridiculously cheap rum. You have that highlighted. Say that again. Ridiculously cheap rum. It was here in Puerto Rico that Dave became acquainted with several well-known EOD legends at the det. The likes of Lieutenant Dale Baker, Master Chief Dewey Thetford, Little John Conway, Senior Chief Master Chief of Sport, Billy Spore, Chief Bob Woods, Ray Pedraza, and Brad Bundy. When he found out that these guys parachuted, blew things up for a living, dived, he knew this is where we had to go. He successfully screened, put in his package for EOD school, and received orders. He even managed to go TAD to the det prior to leaving for dive school. The experience of working full-time with the EOD det completely confirmed Dave's feeling that he had made the right decision to go to the EOD community. The EOD men of Det Rosie immediately took him and made him part of their team. Dave rediscovered the close-knit camaraderie of the sense of teamwork that he enjoyed much as an air crewman. The det also took an active interest in making sure he was fully prepared for the rigors of EOD training, being the wannabe. According to Dave, sometimes a bit too much interest, like early morning death march runs up OP-1 of Vieques. 8-mile open ocean swims from the island of Vieques back to Rosie Roads. And of course, the famous Easy Friday, run, swim, run, devised by Little John Conway. They were anything but easy. Let's just say that no EOD candidate coming from Det Rosie Roads was going to embarrass him by not doing well at dive school. By the time he departed, he was well prepared for the challenge as any EOD candidate could be. Dave arrived at dive school in Panama City, Florida, 9190 class EOD. It was there he met up with Mark Olson, Rich Campbell, John Johnson, and J.T. Millings. The two primary EOD instructors, 9190, were J.T. Turner. JT's here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pain back there. We'll talk later about that. Jeff the Trish Fish. And so all the PT that he'd done in Puerto Rico was definitely going to come in handy. Unfortunately for the men of 9190, Barracks at dive school were being completely renovated. Hold on.
Renovate.
Dave, there's no more.
Renovated, Chris.
I apologize. Renovated. Okay, so the barracks were being re-renovated. We couldn't live there, you know? We couldn't live there. That's what happened. I'm glad you only retired once, Dave, because I can't pull this off again. All right, due to this unfortunate situation, these sailors were forced to live out in town on full per diem in Panama City, in Florida, in the middle of summer. Talk about rough. In the face of such adversities, these dedicated men were somehow able to overcome this obstacle and focus on their dive training. Sort of. I ask you, where do you find such men? Dave wrote that in there. I didn't think it was good, but I left it in there. I ask again, I've heard rumors of beachside condos, resourceful sailors pooling their per diem together, renting sprawling mansions on golf courses in lovely Panama City gated communities. Imagine the delight of the wealthy homeowners as when they met their new neighbors, sort of like when the Beverly Hillbillies showed up. And talk about friendly. These new guys issued a standing invitation to the whole neighborhood to stop by anytime they wanted. 24/7, the party was on. In fact, some of these get-togethers were so popular, sometimes the request of the neighbors, the Panama City Police Department even stopped by to pay their respects. Talk about Southern hospitality. Okay, there were a couple parties that I could tell you about, but we learned diving and we learned it well. Naval Diver Salvin Training Center is probably the best place in the world to learn diving. The standards are high, and if you can't measure up, you get one-way orders back to the fleet, sea bag shuffle. 9190 lost a few good guys along the way. That comes with the territory, because we will be called Navy divers. After dive school, it was off to Nav School EOD Dead Egland for EOD Phase 1 training. EOD Phase 1 is a bit more serious than dive school. That's where you learned the nuts and bolts of the EOD trade: demolition tools and techniques, ordnance recon, range clearance, CBR training, and advanced rigging. After knocking out Phase 1, it was off to lovely Indian Head, Maryland for Phase 2. Maryland's bad. At this point, the class was redesignated Navy EOD Class 20B-92. They all traded in for sunny Florida beaches for Charles County, Maryland in the winter. Training in Indian Head continues to be more challenging, and because of its prime location, there really aren't too many distractions to take your mind off the business, except the powder keg, mutts, and there's a couple more we'll talk about later. All Navy EOD classes are tight, and you get pretty close-knit with these classes. Ahead of you and behind you. There are a bunch of EOD world-class technicians with us today. Those classes, and they are leading our communities. Guys like Bill Bastable, Pat McLean, Mitch Vinga, Rob Rodriguez, Rob McEwen, Ace Thrift, Mark Olson, Bob Rush, and myself. I put that in there.
Because I put that in there.
20B trained hard, studied hard, and brought the party with them wherever they went. They learned the EOD trade and formed lifelong friendship. When it was time for orders, Dave asked for one place and one place only: EOD Mobile Unit 2, Little Creek, Virginia, and he got them. As a former MU2 alumni, I can safely state EOD Mobile Unit 2 is and always will be the best mobile unit in the fleet. My sincere apologies to any of you slackers and MU2 wannabes who I have offended. You wrote that, so I'll get beat up.
I'll take it.
All right. Dave was assigned, and this is where it starts. You might want to stretch a little bit. Dave was assigned to Detachment 6. And it was here he met the likes of Lieutenant Iron Mike Scott. Since then, Mike Scott has been a trusted mentor and valued friend of Dave. Also on Det 6 were Pat McLean, Eric Hart, Bodie Lautenheit, Bodie, and John Drew. Dave told me that he learned more from Chief Drew than almost any other man alive.
I did not write that.
I'm going to put that in. Thanks. Pat McLean is with us here today, one of Dave's side boys. There's Pat. They remained the closest of friends throughout their 80 careers, laughing together through the good times, standing strong together through the tough times. In Dave's words, you could not ask for a better friend. Thanks for being there, brother. Det 6 was a young team with a seasoned OIC. And Mike Dave put this in there. That's a nice way of saying old Mike. They were eager to learn and operate and had the perfect leader in Lieutenant Mike Scott. There was no way that Mike Scott was going to deploy with a team that wasn't ready to go anywhere in the world and do any job at EOD that needed to be done to a higher standard than any team in EOD. Basically, he worked their asses off and they rapidly earned a well-deserved reputation as a go-to Det. The Det 6 model, good enough ain't good enough, and they definitely lived it. Det 6 deployed the USS Saipan in 1993, where they had incredible deployment. In those days, if you wanted to stay busy as an EOD tech, the amphibious deployment was your best bet. Det 6 did just about everything an EOD tech could do during the deployment. Lots of diving, jumping, demolition, small boat ops, helicasting, fast roping, rappelling, shooting, and occasionally some liberty. They worked closely through their deployment with the SEAL platoon and their U.S. Marine Corps EOD brothers. It was great. They had an awesome ball time. You wrote that, and I left that in because it didn't make any sense. I didn't want to take credit for that. Once back at Little Creek, the Mobile unit figured it wasn't fair to let this dead hog all of Mike Scott's vast EOD knowledge and remarkably his worth ethic. So they put him in charge of Mobile unit readiness and training. Trust me when I say the bar was officially raised for the whole unit. It was after this deployment where Dave met the love of his life, Robbie, and they've been together ever since.
Yay!